Hello and welcome to another episode of It's Just Racing, hosted by Jim and Jim. I'm Jim.
And I'm Jim.
And we're here to talk about racing. Um, Another week, starting off on a sad note. In Oulton Park, in the British Superbike Championship, there was an 11 bike pileup, turn 1, lap 1 to start the race. Two riders lost their lives, Shane Richardson and Owen Jenner. Also, Tom Tunstall was taken to the hospital in critical condition. He does have a broken neck, but they do expect him to make a full recovery. Our thoughts are with everybody over there and their families. Moving on to Supercross, little injury update. Ken Roxon decided to skip the last two races of the season. He's had a plethora of injuries this year. I know he's nursing a shoulder issue he's had for at least a month. Something else.
There's an ankle that he
an
tweaked.
Ankle a couple weeks ago. He was eliminated from the championship anyway, so just taking the last couple weeks off to recover.
Yeah, that's probably a smart move. You got to take care of yourself to come back next year.
Especially when you're getting old like Kenny. 250 West. This is their final race before the grand finale in Utah next week. Next week will be a East-West showdown to end the season, so that'll make it even more interesting. Heat race 1, Garrett Marchbanks had the whole shot, but he laid the bike down. It was an odd track. It was very hard packed, but it looks like they overwatered it, so it's slippery on top and dry underneath, and some guys were having issues, especially in that first heat. But Marchbanks laid it down after taking the lead, and Hayden Deegan took the lead and easily won. He usually does easily win when he gets the lead. In the second heat, Cole Davies, the youngster, he's fast, isn't he?
He is, and only 17 years old.
Yeah, he grabbed the whole shot and won. In the 250 LCQ, Lux Turner picked up another win in a last chance qualifier. In the 250 main, Cole Davies had the whole shot, led most of the little race. Hayden Deegan was slowly reeling him in. Looked like it was going to be a good race between teammates. 2 laps to go. Hayden Deegan rode it in hard. Knocked Davies off the track to get first place and the win. How'd you like that pass, Jim?
I didn't like it. I know the AMA was reviewing it or whatever, and it wasn't something you could penalize him for. It was just unnecessary. And on a teammate, too. I mean, he had the speed to pass him outright. And Davies, he gave him the inside. He gave him the whole turn. He just didn't need to do that.
Yeah, Deegan was obviously faster, but the dumb jackass kid part of his brain won out. And it sucks to see it. I think worse was his interview afterwards, where he was pretty damn proud of himself and said he'd do it again. Not impressed with that. I would hope that his dad Brian would knock some sense into him sooner than later, because he's going to get his ass kicked one of these days.
Well, I mean, we know that's his reaction. That's always been his attitude. I mean, moving on from that, I'd like to talk about how Cole Davies handled it afterwards. They asked him afterwards. They were trying to get a response to that, trying to get him angry, and he didn't feed into that. And I thought his answer, it had a lot of maturity, and he really carries himself like a champion, even if Hayden Deegan got the championship.
He definitely does. He's much more mature 17-year-old than I've seen in a long time. But they kept trying to bait him. He wouldn't take the bait. He blamed himself for not being fast enough and putting himself in the situation. And as hard as they tried, he would not say anything bad about his teammate.
All I'll say is, if I'm Yamaha, and in a year or two I gotta call a guy up, but I got one spot, I know who I'm going with.
Who would that be?
I think you can figure that out.
Hayden Deegan, you can ride, but grow up, buddy. Um, well, podium was Hayden Deegan, Juju Beaumer, and Garrett Marchbanks held on for third. Deegan has won the 250 West Championship. They called it. He doesn't have to race. Davies is 25 points behind, so if Deegan doesn't race next week and Cole Davies wins, they would be tied in points. The first tiebreaker is numbers of wins. They would both have 3 wins. Second tiebreaker is number of second places, and Deegan would win that. So there's no way that Cole Davies can recover. So Deegan is your 250 West champion. Moving on to the 450s, Malcolm Stewart grabbed the whole shot and easily won. It was nice to see Malcolm win every once in a while. 450, heat race number 2, Justin Cooper got the whole shot. Cooper Webb grabbed the lead in the second turn right away and led until Chase Sexton just blew by him. 4 minutes to go, and he won by about 4 seconds. The 450 LCQ, Joey Savacci won it. And the 450 main, Malcolm Stewart with another whole shot. Cooper Webb grabbed the lead pretty quick. Sexton passed Webb about 4 minutes in and won the race. Podium was Chase Sexton, Cooper Webb, and Justin Cooper. In the points, you only got 2 guys left, Cooper Webb, and Chase Sexton is down by 9.
Now, I just want to take a minute to talk about Justin Cooper. I mean, he was a real good teammate in that race. I mean, he could have had a second place. He was kind of being the tail gunner for Cooper Webb, keeping Malcolm Stewart behind. He had a few opportunities to pass, and he didn't take them. So, nice teamwork from Justin Cooper.
It was kind of scary how close he was riding on Webb there, but he was protecting his teammate. That was admirable. He did what he had to do. So the last Supercross race of the year is next week in Utah. That will decide the 250 East Championship, which is gosh darn golly close, and the 450 Championship between Cooper Webb and Chase Sexton. Moving on to NASCAR. NASCAR was very frustrating this week. I don't know what the problem is. Part of the issue is rain, I'm sure. It rained a lot, so the track was green. I think that Goodyear is probably bringing a harder tire. It's weird. NASCAR is trying to get away from pits, like green flag pit stops. So they're trying to make the tire last forever. And then you have Formula One, who's talking about bringing softer tires, so there's more pit stops. But anyway, that's just my theory, is that between the green track and rock hard Goodyear tires, nobody could drive this weekend in all 3 of the series. It was embarrassing. I was angry with the television. I was wishing that the Xfinity race would end so I could watch Formula One qualifying. Now, if you want a race to end so you can watch qualifying, that tells you the product that NASCAR put out this weekend sucked. But I'll still talk about it. Craftsman Truck Series. It rained, so there was no practice, no qualifying. So Tyler Ankrum was given the pole position, and he led until the competition caution at lap 20. About half the guys pitted, half of them didn't. Lane Riggs got the lead at the restart. Gio running my number 17, rookie. He couldn't stay out of the grass. This was something that happened all weekend long also. I don't get it. There's lines painted, and if the guy in front of you is here, and there's a whole lot of racetrack to your right side, if you go left, you're probably getting in the grass. Well, the second time that Gio got into the grass, he tore the left front off the truck and caused a big pileup. So that was impressive. Everyone else pitted. Grant Enfinger won the 3-lap shootout to end stage 1. Stage 2, Henfinger still led. Corey Heim blew by him and led the caution-free Stage 2. Ty Majeski had the lead to start Stage 3. About 72 laps to go. Corey Heim passed him. Then we actually had some green flag pit stops starting around 50 laps to go. After the pit stops, Heim reassumed the lead after everybody pitted through the cycle, and then the silliness started. Malcolm in the middle, Frankie Muniz crashed with 20 to go. At that point, Corey Heim had a 16-second lead. He had lapped up to 6th place. It was Corey Heim's race, just like pretty much every race this season has been. The kids just had horrible luck. So anyway, yeah, he had lapped up to 6th place, had a 16-second lead. That all got erased. Restart, another crash. I stopped writing down who everybody was that crashed. I stopped taking notes because I just didn't care.
You know, this is about the point where I started watching, and I noticed that on the graphic they showed when they're at the choose cone to pick which lane they want to be for the restart, they didn't have enough trucks running to fill out the graphic.
Yes, there were only 19 trucks remaining, and there was just a black square where the 20th would have been. He pointed that out to me. That was amusing, although not amusing. So after that crash, they had a red flag to fix the wall. But hey, for some stupid reason, NASCAR decided, well, we're halfway done fixing the wall. Let's lift the red and have the guys roll. Okay, this isn't a dirt track. We're not trying to pack it in after a little sprinkle. They're fixing the wall. They got guys out there with sledgehammers and welders, and they're driving around under yellow just because they want the race to end. I have no idea. It was ridiculous.
I mean, I think to be fair, we all wanted the race to end.
We did, but I mean, NASCAR, come on. So yeah, they restarted with 6 to go, and there's a crash right away. So then they had a green, white, checkered. Overtime! Crash. Didn't even get a lap in. Okay. Green, white, checker again. And Corey Heim, who should have won the race, won the race. That was the NASCAR truck race.
You know, in a nice change of scenery, I guess, from all the yellow that you saw in Texas, you go over to Alabama. Indycar was at Barber Motorsports Park. They had another green flag race from flag to flag. That was the 3rd race in a row that went green.
Now, they haven't had a caution since like lap 5 of the first race or something.
Yeah, it was lap 1 of the first race, and when they went back to green, lap 5 or 6, they've gone green since. The last time that there was a green flag stretch this long in IndyCar, I want to say it was 82 or 83. I remember seeing that Mario Andretti and Danny Sullivan were the winners of those races. So that tells you how long ago it was.
Wow.
I mean, Mario's in his mid-80s now. So.
I was alive back then even.
Yeah. Just barely. So, IndyCar, this week, the red tires were the preferred tires. It's really hard. I can't ever follow, which tire is going to be the best one. It seems to switch from week to week. I'm not sure if that's a track thing or if they bring different tires.
That is funny because a lot of times guys, okay, I got my 2 laps on the reds. We got to pit and get off them. And yeah, this weekend was just the opposite. They wanted to get off the hard tires and everybody ran reds.
So I guess that's always an interesting dynamic to follow in the Indy races. You had Alex Palou and Scott McLaughlin leading them to the flag. Alex Palou has been dominant again this year. I mean, he's driving really well. He led just about the whole race except for the pit cycles. One note on the second pit stop, Colton Herta, who had been running 4th, he stalled it, lost 3 or 4 spots. So that wasn't great from him.
Especially with people talking about him moving to Formula One possibly. You can't do that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's kind of a rookie mistake, and he's
not a rookie.
But that did give us a nice battle between Rinus VeeKay, Will Power, Pato O'Ward, and Colton Herta. That was 4th through 7th place. So just off the podium, but still in contention. They had some really good battling after the pits. Rinus VeeKay, we wanted to note him because he ended up finishing 4th, driving for Dale Coyne Racing, just not really known as a top team. and he was able to hold off Will Power twice coming out of the pits on cold tires. And so that was an impressive draft from him.
And he wasn't even supposed to be racing this year. He didn't have a contract, and whoever Dale Coyne had, they lost their sponsorship or something like 2 weeks before the season started. So they just called up Rinus VeeKay, and they're like, hey, can you drive our slow-ass car? And he said, sure, I'll drive your slow-ass car. And it took him a couple weeks to get acclimated, and all of a sudden here he is, top 5 guy. It's kind of cool to see.
But at the front, again, it was no contest. Alex Palou ran away with the win. He's won 3 of the 4 races. He finished second in the other one. So yeah, it is his year, his championship to lose. I mean, I guess maybe some of the guys better at ovals are hoping for some of those to come up. But right now it's the Alex Palou show. Christian Lundgaard finished second. With that, he took second in the championship, but he's already almost a full race behind Palou. And running at your podium with Scott McLaughlin. And that was IndyCar.
All right, moving on to Xfinity. Same crap, different series. Once again, qualifying was washed out, so Austin Hill was given the pole position. This race started like the truck race ended. First lap, there were like 3 single cars that all spun by themselves. It was kind of funny.
We got through one turn.
The restart, there was a 3-car wreck. About 20 laps in, one of the cars that spun on the first lap spun on lap 20 by himself again. I'm not going to name names because I like the guy. There was going to be a competition caution anyway at lap 20. It's a shame he couldn't finish out that lap and loop it. But anyhow, then everybody apparently got their head a little bit on straight, ran caution free the rest of the way, and Justin Allgaier won stage 1. Start stage 2, Austin Hill grabbed the lead, led the entire stage. There was this one single car spin with 2 laps to go. The stage ended under caution with Austin Hill getting the win there. Then it got stupid again. I'm trying to be nice and not swear a lot. I was just going to write what I had in my notes, but there's lots of swearing in my notes because it just got ridiculous. On the restart, it was a 10-car wreck. I don't know, wipe out 25% of the field on a restart. So they got that cleaned up, restarted. There's another wreck. Got that cleaned up. Restarted again. Justin Allgaier's leading. Green flag pit stop start about 30 laps later. Justin Allgaier leading. Going to lap Chris Wright. Crashed. Did you see that or no?
No, I had left to go watch some good short track racing.
Where'd you go?
I was at Jefferson Speedway.
Oh, you were in Jeffertucky, huh? All right.
I hear it was a better show than the NASCAR Xfinity race anyways.
I don't know. The Xfinity race wasn't a good show, so I'm glad you had some good racing in Jefferson. Okay. Yes, Chris Wright is slow.
Very slow.
You like to point that out. He's slow. He knew he was going to get lapped again. He was driving pretty much in the middle of the track. Allgaier went high to lap him, and then for some reason decided, no, I'm gonna pass him down low. And in the transition from passing him high to passing him low, he just pounded him in the ass. It's like, dude, watch past your hood pin. There's a car. You can see yourself coming up on him. And he just hit him and wrecked himself out of the lead. So,
from what you've described, it sounds like a move I would have pulled playing NASCAR 2001 on the PlayStation.
Yeah, when you were 4 years old, maybe. So, Kyle Larson, who wasn't even supposed to be in the race, he was filling in for your buddy Connor Zilic, who had a sore back from that bad wreck last week. Larson led after the restart, was pulling away, had a nice lead, was going to win. And his sprint car buddy and protege, Corey Day, wrecked with 12 laps to go, erasing Kyle Larson's 6-second lead. Just about everybody pitted. 5 or 6 guys stayed out. Sam Mayer led the... Sam Mayer. Why did I call him Mayer? Maybe I'm thinking of hot dogs. Oscar Mayer? I don't know. Anyway, Sam Mayer, you can't get that wrong. He's from Wisconsin. He led the restart. Caution. Austin Hill spun Sammy Smith into the wall. Smith's car was already tore up, but he was still running a good race. But I don't know if Austin Hill did it on purpose, but it sure looked like it. So we go to overtime. Green, white checker. Crash. Didn't even get a lap in. All right. Green, white checker again. Kyle Larson took the lead and the win in the race he wasn't even planning to be in. Go Kyle Larson. He won that one. He also did come in second in a sprint car race.
Not the win, though.
On Saturday. Same day as that win, he went over to the dirt track. And I don't have my thing here. Rico won. Rico Abreu won the sprint car race. Kyle Larson came in second. Sorry, I don't have my little Rico here with me.
Moving on to Formula One, we had a sprint race this weekend from Miami. I know, Miami, when it first came on the calendar, I wasn't too sure about it being another street circuit, but it was a pretty good race this week, and I think it was definitely worth being on the calendar. For the sprint, you had Kimi Antonelli on pole position. He's found some speed in qualifying. If he figures out the race pace, he's got a real promising future.
Sure does. That kid's doing very well. I don't like to talk about memes very much because I'm an old man and I don't look at a lot of memes. But I saw one. And it said, "Congratulations, George. You're the number 2 racer at Mercedes." Kimi's doing good. He's starting off the season well.
So Kimi was on pole. Oscar Piastri was alongside him. Oscar got a good start. Or I suppose before the start, we should mention there were only 19 starters in this sprint race because your buddy Charles Leclerc, he wrecked coming to the grid. The track was wet. Everyone started on the intermediate tires. Charles unfortunately crashed into the wall and was unable to participate in the sprint race.
Yeah, that was a rookie move from, once again, not a rookie.
It was pretty wet. The drivers were complaining about visibility on the formation lap, enough so that Formula One decided, it was too unsafe to start the race then, so they aborted the race start, brought them all into the pit lane, waited till the rain stopped, and the track started drying, and then they sent them back out like 20-25 minutes later. Unfortunately, Charles was not able to fix his car in that time. I don't know if they would let him.
I don't think so.
Probably not. Park Ferme conditions. Anyways, Oscar got a good start. He was side by side with Kimi. Kimi went wide. He lost 3 spots. All that hard work from qualifying just went out the window.
Too much pressure.
Yeah, it looked like he tried to outbrake Oscar and just the grip was not there on the side of the track he was on, especially the rain washing away whatever rubber had been laid down from qualifying. He'll figure that out later, It was still a good qualifying effort, so he can be proud of that.
Well, that's also a Miami thing, isn't it? The way the grid is set up and the first turn being right hand. I don't believe that anyone has won from the pole in Miami, have they?
It does look like the second position gives you a better run to the corner. So after the track started drying, enough so that halfway through the race, everybody had to pit for slick tires. I thought they were going to leave a couple guys out, but they ended up having everyone pit. Max Verstappen, his team, they really messed up. There was an unsafe release on the pit stop. He was released straight into Kimi Antonelli. Kimi he missed his pit box because of the contact, and so it was basically like a drive-through penalty for him because he had to come back in the next lap then. And that took him out of the points. Max was given a 10-second penalty, which, of course, it wasn't his fault, but, the team released him, and he did cause the crash. Nothing he could have done, just the guy holding the green light should have seen there was a car coming and told him to wait another second. There was a safety car because Carlos Sainz hit the wall. It was kind of a weird crash. He took the chicane, kind of tight. It wasn't super tight. It was just a weird angle he came in at because he hit the left rear tire on the wall. And so there was debris all over the track in the chicane. They let it run for a couple laps, drivers trying to avoid that, and then they finally had to call the safety car to clean that up.
Now, if that was Kevin Magnussen, they would have given him the meatball flag before he even hit the wall. But they let Carlos Sainz drive around and litter the track for a couple laps.
Yeah. Before that point, Lando had caught up to Oscar. He had been closing in. Zach Brown said he was going to let the two drivers race each other. He wasn't going to have any team orders interfering. And it looked like it was going to play out like that. But with the safety car, Oscar got the preferential pit stop, seeing as he was in the lead. So he came in first. Or no, the safety car came during the pit stops. And that was what helped Lando. He pitted after the safety car. And that was able to jump him ahead of Oscar. And he, just went on to win. The McLarens were both very fast with a 1-2 in the sprint.
They're having a year, aren't they?
Yeah.
Your papaya friends.
There was a crash at the end. Fernando Alonso into the wall. We didn't see at first what happened. It looked like he lost the rear end. Then we saw why he lost it. It was because Liam Lawson just torpedoed him into the corner. I don't know if it's been a recurring theme with Liam Lawson this year. He's got a lot of penalty points already.
Yeah, he's kind of a kamikaze pilot as much as you can be in an open wheel carbon fiber vehicle.
Now this incident, it looked like they weren't going to give him a penalty for it. More on that later. And so the race did end under caution. And I know you had some thoughts about that.
I don't agree with races ending under caution. They should have red flagged it, cleaned it up, and let them race. That's my opinion.
I'm personally fine with races ending under caution.
That's because you didn't spend $5,000 to be there to watch it.
Well, I don't like the NASCAR green-white checkered system.
I don't either. But when you have the ability and you have no problem throwing red flags when they're necessary, throw a red flag, clean it up, and race.
Well, I guess we'll have to disagree about that.
Okay.
So yeah, the sprint ended up Lando winning, Oscar second, Lewis Hamilton third. A rare bright point for Ferrari. I guess the sprint races, because he won that sprint race in China earlier, and now this sprint race, third place. So maybe Ferrari's got their car dialed in for a quarter of the race. Who knows? There were a few post-race penalties. Max's 10-second penalty dropped him from, fourth all the way to last, basically.
Yeah.
Post-race, Liam Lawson was assessed a penalty. That was a fair penalty. He punted Fernando. That's a penalty. So he would have finished 7th, which would have been his first points of the year. Instead, he was given a penalty point. And
those are bad points to get.
Well, he's got like 5 of them. And also Alex Albon was given a penalty. Now this penalty, I didn't see anything from him that deserved this penalty.
I didn't either, and from everything I've heard from my contacts at Williams, they're not very happy.
He finished 4th on track, which would have been 5 points, and Williams, those 5 points mean a lot. And he was given a penalty for not following the safety car procedure, for driving too slowly behind the safety car, which, I know they've got the rule, but you also have to consider that there was debris from Carlos Sainz all over that chicane. And if you're staying 5 meters or whatever it is behind the car in front of you, you're not going to be able to see pieces of carbon fiber until they've already, hit your car, punctured your tires, taken you out of the race. So I think that they need to have some more common sense in areas like that, because Albon, had 5 points robbed from him, basically, how I see it.
I concur.
So with all of those penalties, that promoted Yuki Tsunoda, Kimi Antonelli, and Pierre Gasly all into the points. Moving on to Sunday, the Grand Prix. You had... Was it Max on pole?
Max was on
pole. Lando was second. I know before the race you said whoever starts second is going to win. Lando, he tried to make that happen. He got alongside Max. He had a good start. Max, he, I don't know if he locked up or he just got a little loose in turn one. The car had a bit of a wobble, pushed Lando Norris wide.
Can we just take a moment and say congratulations, Max and Kelly, on the birth of your baby girl this week. Good on ya.
Yes, I know. Max had to miss a media day, and luckily he didn't get any penalties or fines from that.
I wonder if she's gonna race.
Fernando Alonso seems to think so.
Those bloodlines, the PK Verstappen bloodlines, that kid will be fast than anything.
I mean, that's what, 7 world championships, probably 80 race wins between the two of them. That's quite the legacy.
Yeah.
Anyways, so Max got a little loose in turn one, pushed Lando wide. It was unfortunate for Lando. Not really anything he could do. He couldn't try to gas it up like Max did the previous week because there was a wall there. So he made the smart decision. He backed out. He lost a few spots, dropped down to 6th, I believe. It looked for a second like Oscar Piastri was going to go through for second. Kimi Antonelli ended up second. There was a turn one incident between Jack Doohan and Liam Lawson. I don't think it was either of their fault. They just kind of got squeezed into a gap. There wasn't enough room for both of them. Doohan ended up with a flat left front, and he was out of the race. Any comments on that one?
I don't remember it well enough to have a comment.
All right.
So it couldn't have been very egregious.
There was a virtual safety car, just because Doohan was not able to get back to the pits. It looked like he was trying to make it back, but he had to go so slowly to keep that car together that when the leaders started getting close to him, he decided to just pull off and not, catch them by surprise by being in the middle of the track. So probably a smart decision from him to not ruin anyone else's race. After the virtual safety car, Oscar was able to get the jump on Kimi. He passed for second and set off after Max. The McLarens, they were rapid this week. Lando was able to get around Alex Albon at the same time. Both McLarens made the move simultaneously. Lap 7, Lando was able to get around George Russell. 2 laps later, he was able to pass Kimi. So he was back into 3rd place. So he passed the 3 cars in 7 or 8 laps. And then Oscar was able to pass Max. He passed him pretty easily. Lando had a good battle with Max because he caught him pretty soon after that. Lando passed Max. They both went off track, drove it in pretty deep into the corner. Lando made the smart decision. He knew it was kind of iffy with the going off track and getting an advantage, so he gave the spot back to Max so the stewards wouldn't have to get involved, and he passed him right back after that pretty easily. Really, there was no one could contend with the speed of the McLarens.
No, I heard after the race that he made that decision on his own.
He did.
That did not come from the team.
Yeah, after he did, the team told him it was smart, but that was all him. So, maybe he's taken some time to reflect on some of the mistakes he's made, and he's been driving a lot smarter, at least this week. So that was good to see some development from Lando. The Ferraris, they were so slow. Lewis Hamilton was stuck behind Esteban Ocon until lap 23. And Esteban's in a Haas, which uses Ferrari engines. So that's kind of embarrassing to not be able to pass the customer team for 23 laps for 10th place.
Now, I was looking at the computer models and everything, all the info for Ferrari, and I noticed a trend. So Lewis brakes later than George does. Not George. Charles. And I noted that in qualifying twice, and I believe it was turn 17, Lewis locked up. Now, maybe it's just an old habit. Ferrari does run a different braking system than Mercedes. but I think if Lewis would start to brake a little sooner, it would help him out a lot.
I didn't see that, but yeah, that would make sense. Why he was struggling with tires and with pace a little bit. A little bit after that, the other Haas, Ollie Behrman, he lost an engine. It just went.
So the Ferraris were slow and they blew up?
Yeah, yep. So there was a virtual safety car because it was unexpected. He hadn't been having trouble, and then all of a sudden in a corner, he just had no more engine. And so that's not good. You need one of those to go fast.
Yeah, flames out the exhaust are never a good sight.
With the virtual safety car, the McLarens, they were far enough ahead. There were no shenanigans with pit stops. They were able to easily keep their spots. George Russell was able to get around Max and Kimi by pitting under the virtual safety car. Saved him probably 10 seconds. Yuki Tsunoda, he was speeding in the pits, so that was a 5-second penalty for him. You know, you don't see speeding in the pits a lot. He tried to brake a little too late. Didn't get on the button soon enough. It was just a little bit, but that's the speed limit. Now, I heard something about the speed limit you wanted to talk about.
Yeah. At some of the tracks with the narrower pit lanes, they are talking about increasing the speed limit so that you won't lose as much time when pitting, and they think that will create better racing. I am completely against anything of that sort. You've got 10, 12 pit guys out there on each team, and you're going to have these guys driving faster? It's stupid. Muhammad, you need to go. Go away, Muhammad. We're done with you. Get out of the FIA. You want to do something? Have them bring softer tires. Don't increase the pit lane speed limit.
I mean, that's a safety thing just for all those pit guys out there. I mean, you saw in the sprint race when Max and Kimi had that incident, if Kimi's car had gone flying a little bit further, it would have hit some pit guys. And you don't want that happening. I mean, I don't see any reason for it. The racing has been really good. There's no need to artificially increase the action that happens.
While putting people in danger.
Yeah. So that's a dumb idea, and they should discard it immediately.
If not sooner.
So after Yuki got his speeding penalty, you had everybody, getting back up to speed. A few people in the midfield tried some stuff to get the jump. Nothing really worked out for them. Alex Albon was able to pass Kimi on the track. Williams has really been quite impressive as a midfield team this year.
They have.
And then Carlos Sainz passed Charles Leclerc, another Ferrari getting passed. Which I thought that was kind of funny because Carlos was ahead of both Ferraris who he used to drive for.
They didn't fired him.
But then Bortoletto, he was having engine problems. He was complaining about it for a couple laps, and then it finally went. So there was another virtual safety car. He was able to get the car almost all the way off the track at one of those cutouts, so they just had to roll it back a little bit. So it was a very quick virtual safety car. Good thinking from him to remember, the maps they give you with where to pull over. So that didn't really impact the racing at all. Ferrari had, Ferrari's famous for making a mess, on the pit wall with the team making questionable calls.
Would you like to have some tea?
I don't know. Lewis, that's what he wanted to know. Charles was in front. Lewis had the medium tires. Charles was on the hard. Lewis wanted to pass, get to go chase down Kimi Antonelli, who was 3 or 4 seconds up the road. And so on the fresher tires, it seemed like a no-brainer to give Lewis the spot, see if he could catch him, and if not, swap him back at the end. Ferrari took, 3 or 4 laps to make a decision?
Lewis was not happy.
No, he was not. And, I mean, you can see probably why, because they really messed up a spot. Both cars could have passed Kimi and Antonelli if they had had done the strategy efficiently, because they wasted probably a total of 5 laps between what happened next. Because then Lewis's tires were overheating. When they finally did swap him around, he wasn't able to pull away from Charles. They were catching Kimi very slowly, not quick enough, so they swapped him back. And then Charles went on to try and catch him.
Yeah, it's been embarrassing for Ferrari the last couple of years with some of the decisions they're making on the box.
Anyways, they did not catch Kimi. Carlos Sainz tried a last lap pass, last corner, kind of a dive bomb on Hamilton. It was an aggressive move. It was on the line. Lewis saw it coming, it looked like. Both of them raced clean. Lewis held on, but just barely. And notably, Yuki Tsunoda, he finished in the points 5 seconds ahead of Isaac Hadjar, so the penalty did not affect his finishing position.
It was like 5.06 seconds or something.
It was close.
600ths away from losing his point.
I was watching that gap. I was pulling for Isaac, but Yuki got his point. So in the end, it was Oscar Piastri with his 4th win out of 6 races. He's been very impressive this year.
That's 3 in a row, right?
It is. Then you had Lando Norris finishing 2nd. He recovered well from that first lap incident with Max. There's really not much else Lando could have done. He ran a real good race. Just the gap, it was too much to close. He was about 9 seconds behind Oscar, and he closed it to about 3.9, and then the gap stabilized till the end, right around there. And then George Russell was about 35 seconds behind Lando, but he got another podium, which I don't know how he keeps doing it, but that's his 4th podium of the year.
So George was the guest on the McLaren podcast then?
He was. So what that does for the points, Oscar is still the championship leader, and he's got a 16-point lead over Lando, and at this point, it looks like it is McLaren's title fight. Zach Brown is given every indication that he's going to let the drivers fight each other for it. So that could be exciting to see, but they're good. They're running away with it.
Nobody's got a chance. I don't know what Zach's doing. He's running a good team there, and I don't know. They can't be beat.
Well, it's ever since he brought in Andrea Stella to be team principal, it seems they've had that turnaround. So whatever they're doing is working.
Team principals are important, aren't they?
Yes. Speaking of team principals.
That's a good segue, huh?
This just in. Oliver Oakes, former team principal of Alpine, he resigned today.
Effective immediately.
And so what that means is that Flavio Briatore is now the team principal of Alpine. Now, this is just speculation on my part, but there have been rumors that Alpine they're going to bring in Colapinto for Imola in 2 weeks, and my thought is that Oliver Oakes didn't agree with that decision, and that's why he resigned. So I guess we'll see in the next few days if there's any driver announcement from Alpine.
There's a lot of talk, but yeah, that makes sense because Oliver's more of a level-headed guy who looks at big pictures, and Flavio is Flavio, yeah. With a name like Flavio, you're annoying. Moving back to NASCAR. Sorry, I have to do it again. They actually qualified, and Carson Hocevar was on the pole. That was a surprise. And they actually got some green flag laps in. Caution came out for a single car spin. Everybody pitted except Danny Hamlin. They either forgot to tell him to pit, or he missed pit entrance because he was texting, or what. He was the only car that didn't pit. So he came in on the next lap and then got caught speeding on pit road. So that was kind of funny for Denny. Well, not funny for Denny. Funny for those of us who like to laugh at people because we're just sitting here talking about it. Austin Cindric got the lead on the restart. There's a caution on lap 75 as Denny Hamlin's engine just grenaded, flames, everything. It was a proper explosion of that engine. Cindric ended up winning the stage under caution. Josh Berry, who's been having a good couple weeks, grabbed the lead to start stage 2, and there's a crash on the first lap. And Josh Berry was still leading after the restart, but he spun well in the lead and racked himself into the wall. Todd Gilliland grabbed the lead on that restart for about a half a lap until Kyle Larson blew by him. There was a debris caution, gotta love those, for a flat tire. I don't know. I didn't see a carcass, but hey, I wasn't really paying attention. Kyle Larson won stage 2 under caution for the debris for the blown tire. There's a caution again at the start of stage 3. I'm not going to bother talking about these. It's just so annoying how these guys can't turn laps, and then they'll turn like 50 laps perfectly fine, and then they can't. I don't know if the tires, and it's always, I know they say cautions breed cautions, but I still think it's got to be a hard tire issue, because this was the 3rd race of the week. It hadn't rained anymore, and on cold tires, these guys are just out to lunch. On the restart, William Byron led. Kyle Larson got by him about 10 laps later. We had green flag pits starting, bought a single car spin, brought out the caution, messed everything up. Kyle Larson did still lead after the restart, and there was another single car spin. Larson led out the restart. Another single car spin. Larson led out the restart. 3-car wreck. McDowell grabbed the lead on the next restart. Lasted 2 laps, multi-car crash. Hey, next restart. Ryan Blaney gets the lead. Oh, another caution. This is just stupid. It's not racing. Michael McDowell gets the lead on the next restart. Can he do it? Can Michael McDowell win the race? No. He tried to block all 17 lanes of Texas Motor Speedway. He tried to Joey Logano, and nobody Joey Logano is Joey Logano.
You know, I'm sure Joey was smiling. He was like, wow, I'm so proud of what he's learned from me. It was a ridiculous block.
It was hilarious. He was like from the wall to the apron, and you know what? You go low, Joey's going to go lower.
I mean, McDowell was on the apron. He was off the track.
And Joey still passed him and took the lead. Then McDowell got passed again, and then I guess he was trying too hard because he wrecked himself out of 3rd. Of course, that was at the end of the race, so we have another green-white checkered, and Logano did hang on for the win. So, all 3 NASCAR races were exceedingly annoying. They were bad. I don't know if it was the tires, the tracks. I don't know, but I wouldn't. I hate to be a I don't know, one of those keyboard warriors or whatever. But God, they need to do something, because that was not professional racing by any means, in my opinion.
They could watch an Indycar race.
So next week, we've got Supercross in Utah for the season finale. We've got IndyCar in Indianapolis for the road course, and then the fun starts. It's Indy 500 month. Xfinity's off. NASCAR Trucks and Cup are at Kansas. And IMSA is at Laguna Seca. Now, is this a long one or a short one?
This is a short one, 2 hours and 40 minutes.
Okay. Anything else for us today?
That's all from me.
All right. Thanks for watching. We'll talk to you next week.